So I have decided to do my critical assignment on a problem that we have at my job. I currently work for the state of California's Employment Development Department, EDD, and I'm in the Workforce Services branch. I'm a lead employment programmer there and do a couple of things: case manage, program manage, and a few other things, make presentations and things of that nature. Recently, we had a standardized intake process at our job where clients would come in, they would check in at the front desk. We have two receptionists at the front, and the receptionist would either simply call or email whoever they were there to see. We have a 5-story building that we are in, and we occupy 4 of those 5 stories, and so we have many different staff members who do different things. So we have veteran services there, we have youth services, we have business specialists who deal with employers in Riverside County. We have unemployment services, workshops that we contract with them, as well as helping individuals file for unemployment, ask questions about unemployment, and a little bit of disability as well. We also have county services that we provide. So our building is unique in that we are an integrated service system. So we have state workers and county workers together to help provide services for the public. So a couple weeks ago, we integrated, about 2 weeks ago now, we've integrated a system called the VOS system, Virtual Operating System. And it uses like a kiosk that clients can walk up to interact with, and it'll check them in, and it's supposed to send a message to their case manager or their worker or whoever they are there to see. Unfortunately, it has not been as successful as we wanted it to be. There have been issues. The kiosks are currently sitting on top of the receptionist's front desk, and so it causes a huge amount of clutter and congestion there. And the system itself isn't working as we wanted it to. People aren't getting the messages saying that their clients are there. Clients are confused when they walk in the door. They don't know where to go, where to stand, where to sit. Currently, the line starts like as soon as you walk into the door, and so that causes a lot of congestion and confusion. So what is going to happen to help remedy this issue is that a work group is going to be formed. My organization is pretty well known for tasking work groups and committees and task forces. So we are going to definitely start a work group with the goal of looking for some deep diversity. Deep diversity is a substantial variation among members in a task-relevant skill, knowledge, ability, or belief system. And the way in which we are going to get this level of diversity is we're going to pull one person from each of the different teams that we have, even including management. So we're going to require one manager from the state side and one manager from the county side to be a part of this work group. Total, we're going to have 7 members, which is, according to Rothwell and the rule of 7, it's pretty much an ideal number of members in a small group. And the reason for that is it helps in groups of 8 or less. They tend to work more cooperatively, and they address tasks interdependently. So it's more natural and easy for them to work together. And now with that deep diversity, synergy can be had and can come to be. Synergy is a phenomenal occurrence, and it helps discuss ideas as people from various backgrounds and ethnic groups and age and gender come together with varying levels of skills, and they uniquely form a synergistic bond together as they address issues. So, according to structuration theory, a system, such as a small group or a work group, establishes structures for such discussions and problem solving in the form of rules, roles, norms, and power distribution. A work group would be the perfect answer to our VOS system and brainstorming ideas to help correct that. Now, brainstorming, I love brainstorming. It is a creative problem-solving technique that promotes plentiful, even zany ideas in an atmosphere free from criticism and with enthusiastic participation from all group members. Brainstorming works best when when everybody in the group participates and we all put our crazy ideas together to come to a unique conclusion for our problems. Another thing that can be interesting in small groups especially is something that's called the convergence theory by Ernest Broman. The convergence theory basically states that as individuals come together with their experiences and their stories, they kind of converge into one narrative or group identity. In the case of our work group, we've had examples of people saying, I wonder if I'll get told that my client is here today. That seems to be an issue, like being notified of our clients arriving. From the reception staff, who seem to be some of the most frustrated individuals, understandably so. Sometimes they say things like, I'd rather answer phone calls all week long rather than to deal with this thing, referencing the Voss kiosk and the whole process altogether. And so that's how more of a bond can be formed in the work group itself. Now, some questions have to be asked in this work group, but before we even would dive deep into that, I would encourage a getting to know conversation, kind of like an icebreaker, just because we all work for the same organization doesn't mean that we all have seen each other or that we even know each other. And so we would definitely encourage that. And then we would ask 3 questions. We would ask a question of fact, a question of value, and a question of policy. Having 2 managers on that work group is very good for a question of policy because they would be able to give us definitive answers right then and there. We wouldn't have to send emails or make phone calls and wait for that. After those questions were asked, we would go into the brainstorming and then we would start making definitive answers and decisions and how we would implement change. So the first way that we would implement change is we would move the line. So as soon as you walk in, the line is right there causing massive congestion. We would move it to the far right side of the lobby, which creates a huge open area where you can look to the left, straight ahead, and to the right, and you can clearly see where people are sitting on the left-hand side, the open space that we have in the middle, and on the right-hand side where the lines are and the reception desks are. The second thing, we would move the kiosks off of the desk, put them on stands on the far right side of the reception desks. We would also have 2 separate lines, one moving to the reception desk and one moving to the kiosks. We would have large arrows, different colors, with signs hanging from the ceiling saying which was which. And on the left-hand side where the kiosks are, we would have 1 or 2 designated staff there to help customers as they come in, people who don't know what they're doing on the kiosks or people who haven't been to the building in a while. These ideas have definitely been heavily influenced by like Target's self-checkout and Walmart, and even self-check-in at airports. And the third thing that we would do is we would conduct weekly trainings on Mondays and Wednesdays from 3 to 4 p.m. for the entire month of November. That way everybody in the building at some point during the month, you could come to a training and you could learn the new process from the client side, from their window that they see, and also from the staff portal, from what we see on our side, and how to use that and how to program it to send notifications to the proper people and how to track those services. And lastly, in regards to how I make my decisions and my decision-making process, I always try to view my brothers and sisters in Christ as that, brothers and sisters in Christ. It doesn't matter if they're a believer or not. Philippians 2:4 says, do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others. And with that in mind, I always try and look at scenarios as, how would this benefit everyone? Or how could this benefit the most people as possible? And lastly, I like to try and think of these words, and they say, Matthew 25:40, truly I say to you, to the extent that you did it to one of these brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did it to me. Thank you.